Where is exploring more than just the manipulation of Truman by the media? So to what extent do you guys agree or disagree?
I think that Where is exploring more than just the manipulation. He's exploring the manipulation of everyone and how, as in a metaphorical ways, how we are manipulated by our respective medias.
I agree with that because there's a lot of advertising in the film, and that's like in our world.
Can you, Hamish, link some points like directly in the film where you saw that product placement in the advertisement?
Truman's wife advertising, like holding up the things directly speaking to the camera because she knew it was there, and just like influencing the audience, and just like we get influenced.
Yeah, I agree. Much like how we have these celebrity endorsed adverts, especially for like hair products and skin products and things, endorsed by famous celebrities.
As for more than manipulation by the media, I think he's exploring manipulation between different people, as in people being controlled by other people. It's like I manipulated you guys into changing the focus of your discussion.
Yeah. I think, because we have Christoph, who's manipulating Truman, and then Truman's manipulating the audience, who are manipulating whoever they talk to, who are and it goes back around, who are manipulating Christoph into what he makes Truman do. And so it's like this huge cycle of manipulation of people through the media, through what they tell each other, what they do, what they the products and things that are placed in the show.
So for someone like Truman, Alan, how do you think that the manipulation by Christoph affects him? Or Kavana?
Basically, his whole entire world is made up of just stuff that's manipulated. For example, the whole entire set. For example, all the products he uses are actually product placement, and basically, and everyone's telling him people are telling him what to do and what not to do, but they're not telling him directly. For example, he watches that show about the home, Home Sweet Home, and I think for him, so basically what I'm trying to say is that I think this manipulation has sort of affected identity, and if
I do agree. The media is manipulating him without him realising, and it's creating and sculpting him as a person, much like we are, how we have each respective group and style of teenager as dictated by the big American movies. There's the jocks who dress in a certain way and act like this, and people who see themselves as this jock would dress like them and copy them without directly realising that the media is shaping them like this.
Well, also you could look at the magazines in the store. When they wanted him to have a kid, the only magazines there were Garden, Home, and the Baby magazine.
So do you guys think that Where is exploring more than manipulation of the media, like something else that's manipulating him?
Yeah, definitely. There's the media, and then there's his friends, the people around him. So for instance, his mother and his friends they're all fake, and they're all being told what to say to him, and by doing that, they're controlling his actions. And so for instance, he wants to leave to go to Fiji and all that, and then his friends, they're like, oh no, you shouldn't, you should just stay here and do your own thing here, because it's all set out here.
I would just like to pose a question regarding Hamish's question as well. What do you guys think do you think Ware's exploring the fact how religion could possibly manipulate people, and how Ware has used it through Christoph manipulating Truman?
Well, I thought it quite interesting that Truman, the person who was the stereotypical American, was chosen to be a male when there are actually more women in the United States. It was on the Did You Know population facts thing. And I just thought it was maybe an exploration of manipulation by gender roles, because the society he lives in, if you look at how he's controlled, it's quite matriarchal, because he's henpecked by his mother and his wife, but he's a male. I just thought maybe he'd react differently if he was a woman.
I'd just like to suggest that perhaps the reason they chose a man as the main role is that, especially in America, men are in power. They're the people who control the rest of the world. Like, they've never had a female president. Men represent power in their culture. So viewers would look at the show and see a man and see how he has this control over them simply because of his gender.
But wouldn't you say
that's
evolving and changing, because a lot of women are getting into careers in like high power positions?
That is true. I mean, doesn't specifically represent my opinion, but it is, in America, men are more powerful. They get higher pay. They get better jobs.
I think they picked him as a male because it relates to Kristoff, because it's his manipulation on like the show, and so everything he does in the show is actually like connected to him somehow, and his style is like, he's an old guy, and you can see that when he's giving that interview, and I guess he just wants to like, and you can tell that the Sea Haven place is like more back in like the olden days,
it was
like
very 50s.
yeah. He's just relating it around his kind of childhood, and so he wants a male to play it rather than a female.
And maybe he never had a son of his own, so he wanted to have a son that he could nurture and look after.
I agree with that statement, especially at the end. Kristoff, really, when he talks to Truman, it's in a very fatherly way, and he's also portrayed as God as such, who is deemed the father of all people.
What techniques do you see from the Truman Show which give you that idea that you think that Kristoff could be played as Truman's father?
They use this effect in which these rays, when Truman's speaking, they pan the camera up to the clouds, and there's sunshine going through shining through the clouds, which is a very heavenly thing.
It's the fingers of God in the art world, that's what they're called.
Fingers of God in art world.
I just want to build on from what Tish was saying before about how he is, Truman is a man because of Kristoff, and how Kristoff is placed in like their relationship in their world. And I was thinking that he might have been also placed as a man because that is the image that Kristoff wants to give the American society. That's how he wants the society to keep running. He wants the male to be like the dominant figure in the family, or the one who works for his wife and children. And so it's kind of like he's giving the world this image that he wants them to follow.
So you're saying Ware is exploring more than just the manipulation of Truman by the manipulation of the society too, because of what he's choosing. For instance, that male figure.
I think that's a fair point though, because Kristoff is conveying his utopia that he sees in his vision, and so obviously his vision is to have a male as the predominant figure in society, and so that's why it is a male.
So this is kind of going back to the statement of like how we talked about that that the Truman Show portrays the society of where the male is the dominant figure. But the thing is, so even though like Truman, even though he's portraying Truman as a dominant figure, since he's like the breadwinner of the family, Truman is actually not in power, but Truman thinks he's in power, and I think that's similar to. So it's like this weird contrast, weird conflict, because it's portraying him as being powerful, even though really he's probably the least powerful person there.
Oh, that fully reminds me of when earlier in the year we were studying Animal Farm and how it kind of relates to the Truman Show, because in Animal Farm, Orwell was looking at how ultimate power can corrupt and manipulate people, and when you relate it to the Truman Show, it's in essence kind of the way how Kristoff has that full power and control over Truman, and that way he's able to manipulate him. And yeah, Abby.
I was gonna say, it's sort of the parallel between the Truman Show and the Animal Farm is that all of the people who want to be in control want to push their vision of utopia onto the audience or the rest of the society. And in Tea Haven, there were no disabled people, there were no Asian people, and there was only one African American family, and they felt very token because they just said hi to him in the morning, and they were sort of there just to avoid like problems of being racist, I think, because he doesn't really have any friends other than that one white dude.
Yeah.
So I think Truman's presenting himself as, you know, really nice, but if you look at it, he's actually quite a prejudiced old man. And
You
I
stated
just-
there was a parallel between Animal Farm,
and
but
the parallel there is that, well, I think that Christoph is sort of pushing his utopia, like, and the parallel between Animal Farm and Truman Show is that the animals, like the pigs who want to rule, are also pushing their utopia. Like, there were no disabled people, and there were no Asian people, and also there were the one African American family, but they felt very token, because he only just really said hi in the morning. And he only really has one friend who's like the European immigrant.
I'd like to add on to that. Yeah, I do. I agree with like all of that. And I'd like to add on because the audience is able to accept Christoph's reality because their reality isn't as great as Christoph's utopian idea, and so through that, without all those like disabilities and it's like a perfect kind of place, and so they go into it and they also, you see all the bars and like the guards on off duty and all that, they have the time to get involved into it and escape. And so when Christoph has the audience in his grasp, he's able to put his own ideas into Truman's world, and then through that, because they think Truman's world is like the God's world, which it kind of is Christoph, and the audience will take that on board, and so his ideas will be like spread around the world.